lawyer practicing here in Gwangju, and she's going to help us, listeners in Gwangju and Yosu and the area, understand the Korean legal system. Hello, Hyunju.
Hello.
How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy I'm wearing my suit today.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at some of the videos that you put online, and I realized, wow, I'm always dressed like a homeless guy in these pictures.
No.
But here, now today I can look good for the viewers. Now, what are we going to talk about today? It's a little complex, right?
Yes. Today I'd like to give you a picture of how the Korean justice systems works with an example.
All right. I'd love to hear how it works. Please explain.
So let's say that Tom stole money from Jane and also kind of raped her.
Oh, all right.
Yep. So Tom would be the suspect of the crime now, and Jane would be the victim of this case.
Of course.
So if nobody reports the crime, then it would be very hard for the police to initiate an investigation.
Well, sure, they don't know that it happened.
Mm-hmm. As you may know, South Korea's prosecution also has wide range of powers.
Yeah.
So including to order investigation, they carry out investigations and also indict.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, there was a change in law to distribute the power of prosecution to the police.
Okay, I'm glad we're gonna, talk about this, because I always used to get confused listening to it here. Because I know there's some big differences to how it works in Canada.
Oh, okay.
And probably in America as well. And so I'm excited to learn about how this works. Could you explain the system?
Sure. Until last year, police were able to initiate probes, but they were not allowed to close the cases without prosecution's approval.
Okay.
So even when the police found that the case is not established, like lacking evidence, they should transfer the case to the prosecution for their final approval to even close the case.
Oh, wow.
Also, for indictment, only prosecutors can file indictment in direct control of police investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, in Korea, the prosecutor had the monopoly power for indictment.
Wow.
Nobody could do, only the prosecutors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a huge power. There was a movement to reform such power, and the bills that passed January 3rd, 2020 became effective from this year, January 1st, 2021, and the provisions to the Criminal Procedure Act and the Prosecution Office Act it was designed to give police more investigative authority.
All right, I see. And I used to see this coming up in Korean movies a lot. In a lot of Korean movies, it's about the prosecutors.
Right.
Because the prosecutors have this power where they can kind of dig into the case more or let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And, what are the changes now to this system?
In the past, you could have filed a criminal report or file a petition as a victim, either to the police or to the prosecutor's office.
All right. So in our example, Jane would file a criminal report or the petition as a victim.
Yes, and she can go either to police or prosecutor's office.
Okay.
However, from January this year, the prosecutor's office will only initiate a certain type of crime probes.
Oh.
Therefore, one should be careful in choosing where to file a crime report.
All right.
So the crimes involving big things such as corruption, bribery, economic crimes with 0.5 billion won or more damages in embezzlement relating to trade secret or crimes related to government officials, voting, or something about national security businesses.
Oh, okay.
Or a large-scale disaster such as fire, explosion, and so on. And also the crimes related to police officers. Those will be only dealt by the prosecutors.
Okay, so the prosecutor's office is for these, extraordinary crimes.
Yes, something big.
Yeah, very large. Not to say serious, because in our example what Tom did to Jane is very serious. But to say in terms of, I guess, scale.
Yes, it's more personal, but it's more social.
Yeah, and maybe requiring special investigation.
Sure.
Like a I guess, industrial disaster, or as you said, with police officers, or with national security.
Yeah.
All right. So what about normal people, normal crimes? the general public, what do they do?
For the general public, you must file a case to the police, not to the prosecutor's office
All
from
right.
now on.
So Jane should go talk to the cops
Yes.
at the police station.
If she goes to the prosecutor's office, they will return the case and ask her to go to the police office.
Okay. But, I mean, we don't want her wasting her time. So go to the police.
Yes.
All right. What happens from there?
Once the police initiate the investigation, now the police have power to close the props without prosecution's approval in case they find it lacks grounds for a crime or if there is a settlement between the parties, things like that.
Got it.
So it means that the police could effectively decide whether to seek indictment after their initial investigation.
Okay.
However, if the police decides to file charges, they cannot seek indictment themselves. That job is still the prosecutors. Still, the prosecutor have the sole power to seek indictment.
Okay.
So anyway, if the case should go to the court, then it should go through the prosecutor's office.
Okay. So even if this case is made, the police aren't going to say, let's go pick this person up, let's go arrest them. You know, it's got to go through the prosecutors first. So that's sort of decision.
For the detention thing, it's a separate issue.
Okay.
And it will be monitored by the prosecutors.
All right. Fair enough. So, I mean, this all sort of makes sense. Could you give some examples about how the system might continue working?
Yep, you might wonder what tools the lawmakers prepare to monitor the abuse of expanded power by the police.
It came to my mind.
Because
it's good to know what the police can do to you.
Because as the police can now close the case if they find the case is not established.
Yeah.
So it's a huge power in terms of like the suspect and also for the victim.
Sure.
It can be a threat.
Okay.
So in that case, a person who reported or accused a suspect can submit an opinion to express their objection to the police's decision. So if the police says, oh, I'm going to close the case, so I'll not send it to the prosecutor's office.
Yeah.
In that point, a person can submit an opinion.
Okay. And then the prosecution would look at it.
Then the case will be transferred to the prosecution's scrutinization. The prosecutor can decide whether to indict or not.
Okay.
Also, in case of closing the case by the police, the prosecution can request reinvestigation.
All right.
If the police's refusal to refer the case to the prosecutor is deemed unlawful.
So they can say to the police, we don't think you looked at this properly. Take another look.
Yes.
And the police will do that.
Yes.
Okay.
If a further proof affirms the case, then now the police must refer the case to the prosecution.
I think I've got it. And then the prosecutors can decide to indict or not. All right.
It's in their hands now.
Okay.
So if the case is closed by the police, Jane can request for future investigation by filing an objective opinion on the termination of the case, and the prosecutor will look at it and may order the police to do more investigation, and the police will again refer the case back to the prosecution.
All right. So how would you summarize the change in the law?
The reform is expected to bring a change in the relationship between the prosecution and police. It has been only 2 months with the new rules.
Right.
So, yeah, I think we may need time to adjust to the new system and see how it rolls out.
Sure.
At this point.
Yeah, and then we'll see cases kind of being bumped around the courts and maybe going up to, I don't know, the Supreme Court or Constitutional Court.
Yeah.
And we'll see how some of the changes roll out, I guess. But it sounds like a good change.
Yeah.
Decentralize some of that enormous power that the prosecutor's office held.
Yes.
All right. Well, I hope it works out. And thank you very much. It was very informative. And this is on the internet, right?
Yes, you can find this segment in video and my YouTube channel. You can find me by searching Korean Law 101 on YouTube.
All right. Great. Thank you so much, Hyunju.
Thank you for having me.